What's up everyone, I'm Gooshy. Rivals just released, and with this new update, we have new abilities and techniques for each class. So in this video, let's go over these changes. We'll go over the ones that are good and bad, and how it might change your playstyle, because some of these things are pretty crazy. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as predicted, if we go to the techniques tab, we get a new slot for each, your ability, perk slot 1, perk slot 2, and perk slot 3. So for the samurai's new ability, we have Raging Flame. Heavy attacks with this burning blade can also ignite nearby enemies. And so this ability is exactly like the charm of Raging Flame in the single player. And really this gives you a free way of the flame. I like how this can work with your ultimate to do just a little bit more damage. And it works in the neutral game as you can burn multiple enemies at once. Because of this AoE fire damage, I believe this will be the go-to for the samurai class now. Next in perk slot 1, and this is similar for all classes, is that we get an extra node to increase your legendary items you can equip. So technically we can have 3 legendaries equipped at a single time, but I think the more practical approach is to use this in perk slot 1, which will free you up to use another option in perk slot 3 if your class needs it. Next in perk slot 2 we have Healing Strike. Killing an enemy with a perfect parry counterattack restores 50 health. I think this sounds good on paper, but I don't think will be the go-to choice, as it does require a kill and it only restores 50 health. Finally in perk slot 3, which always applies to your ultimate, we have Hachiman's Rage. Hachiman's Fury does 2 strikes for 300% damage each. Now this one is pretty crazy. I'm pretty sure that with this skill alone, you can one-shot Purple Oni. But it is a trade-off, giving up those extra 2 strikes with the other perk that gives you a total of 5 Hachiman strikes. So I'm not sure which one's going to be the best, but it'll be an interesting trade-off to either get more strikes in or do more damage. Alright, next, moving on to the Hunter. So for the new Hunter ability, we have Spirit Archer. Summon a ghostly archer to fight beside you for a limited time. I guess this is similar to the Ronin Spirit Dogs or Spirit Bear, but instead you just get an Oni Archer. This is pretty cool, but I don't think it'll replace the Explosive Arrow. Next in perk slot 1, again, we have the Legendary perk. This could be interesting to use multiple legendaries, but again, I don't think it will replace the decreased class ability cooldown or increased damage at close ranges. Next in perk slot 2, we have Bow and Blade. Killing an enemy with an arrow makes your next sword attack deal 100% more damage and vice versa. Again, this is nice, but since it requires a kill, and in most cases you're not going to be using your sword as a hunter, you're probably not going to switch this out for increased status effect damage. Finally for perk slot 3 we have Burning Gaze. Now this one is pretty interesting. Eye of Uchitsune shots set enemies on fire. It's really hard to give up the 5 shots on Eye of Uchitsune, but if we are really committing to a fire build later on, this might be a good option. And so for the most part, I really think that the techniques and abilities for the Hunter will remain the same, but let me know what you guys think. Alright, next, moving on to the Ronin. And let me tell you guys something, I think the Ronin is back, baby! With all the massive nerfs to the Ronin, I think this really brought the Ronin back. Alright, so for the class ability, we have Flaming Roar. Unleash a ball of fire and ignite surrounding enemies. This is exactly what the Ronin needed. This is very similar to the Hunter's Explosive Arrow, but you just need to be in close range to hit enemies. I'd say the Ronin's fire ult was the meta before this came out, so this really opens up that ult slot for something else. Again, in perk slot 1 we have that increased legendary, so moving on to perk slot 2 we have Cure All. Anytime the Ronin is healed, his teammate receives 50% as well. Again, this is a huge change. The main source of healing to other teammates usually comes from the Ronin's ult. Now you can heal teammates anytime without using any abilities, again leaving other options for your ultimate. Finally for perk slot 3 we have Staggering Breath. Breath of Izanami creates a massive shockwave that knocks back all nearby enemies and weakens them. Now this one's a toss-up. The weaken is very important, as it might be equivalent to the Hunter's Foul Arrows and can definitely weaken like waves of enemies all at once. However, because it knocks them down, this could make things a little bit harder. It's really hard to control spawns and waves when enemies are more spread out. So I think this can become really useful once we figure out exactly how to use this so it benefits us in the right way. So out of all the classes, I believe the Ronin got the biggest buffs, and to all my Ronin mains out there, Ronin is back. Alright, moving on to the Assassin. The new class ability is Refreshing Vanish. Vanish in a burst of energy that heals you and nearby allies. I think this will be the go-to for the assassin class, as the assassin did lack healing without any healing legendaries to support it. So I think this is a pretty good change. Again, in perk slot 1, we have increased legendary. I think for the assassin in particular, having those increased legendaries really will make a difference. Next, in perk slot 2, we have Deadly Nightshade. Poison also damages enemies' health. So at first this may not seem that impactful, but I think that they actually buffed poison damage in Legends. I'll have to do more testing, but if poison becomes a more viable option, this could make a huge difference. But it is a different playstyle. You'll be giving up some assassination damage and speed for more of a poison build. So I'm really excited to see what kind of builds emerge from these changes. Finally, in perk slot 3, we have Overshadowed. Shadow Strike attacks do 100% extra damage. Now this could be huge. Again, just like the Samurai, you are giving up those extra strikes for increased damage. So again, it is a trade-off between damage or extra strikes. And so with that, that's all the new abilities and techniques for all classes. I'm super excited because this leaves room for a bunch of new builds, and I'm pretty sure this will change the meta, especially the Ronin, and possibly the Samurai might make it into the meta. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Hope to catch you in the next one, and GG.